This is further evidence that the temple was on the Temple Mount.
In breaking news,
the Temple Mount in Jerusalem has always been one of the most sacred and mysterious places in the world. It is holy to Jews, Muslims, and Christians, and for centuries it has been at the center of history, faith, and political struggle. Recently, archaeologists and scientists revealed a discovery that left the world stunned. Using advanced non-invasive technology, they found secret underground chambers beneath the Temple Mount that appear to have been untouched for nearly 3,000 years. These rooms, sealed away since around 700 BCE, contain shrines, altars, standing stones, and ritual artifacts. What makes this discovery so shocking is how well preserved these objects are, as if they had been frozen in time, waiting to be revealed. For generations, experts believed that religious reforms had erased smaller shrines in Jerusalem, leaving only the Grand Temple as the center of worship. But these hidden chambers suggest a different story, one in which ordinary people practiced faith in secret, away from the control of kings and priests. This discovery not only changes our understanding of history, but also raises many questions about the cultural and spiritual life of ancient Jerusalem. How were these chambers preserved for so long? Why were they hidden? And what do they tell us about the people who lived thousands of years ago? To understand the importance of this discovery, we must first understand the Temple Mount itself. Known as Har Habayit in Hebrew and Haram al-Sharif in Arabic, the mount is much more than a hill in the heart of Jerusalem. Covering 37 acres, it has been the center of devotion and conflict for over 3 millennia. Kings, prophets, and pilgrims all walked across its courtyards. It has seen the rise and fall of empires, the building and destruction of temples, and countless prayers and offerings. For Jews, it is the site of the first and second temples. For Muslims, it is the location of the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, two of the holiest places in Islam. For Christians, it is deeply connected to the life and times of Jesus because of its sacred value. Digging or excavating beneath the Temple Mount has always been nearly impossible. Religious sensitivities and political tensions make any disturbance risky. As a result, what lies beneath has remained a mystery, hidden under layers of stone and time. Archaeologists could only guess about underground structures based on historical texts or fragments found around the edges of the site. For centuries, the underground world of the Temple Mount was like a locked treasure, just until new technology gave scientists the tools to unlock it without moving a single stone. Traditional archaeology often involves digging through layers of soil and debris, but at the Temple Mount, even the smallest excavation could cause religious or political disputes. That is why researchers turn to modern, non-invasive technologies to explore the underground world. Ground-penetrating radar, magnetometry, and 3D imaging allowed them to see beneath the surface without causing any damage. These tools sent signals into the ground, reading density and magnetic variations, then stitching together the information into clear underground maps. What appeared on these maps left scientists astonished. They found sealed chambers and corridors that had remained untouched for nearly 2,800 years. Unlike storage rooms or random basements, these spaces were carefully designed ritual areas. The placement of altars, basins, and passageways suggested they were used for sacred purposes. The narrow corridors hinted that only select individuals, possibly priests or community leaders, were allowed to enter. This meant that even during times when worship was supposed to be centralized at the temple above, there was still a secret spiritual life happening below. These discoveries showed that faith in ancient Jerusalem was not as uniform as many had believed. Instead, people carried out hidden practices, creating a layered and complex spiritual world that existed alongside official temple worship. At the heart of these underground discoveries is a shrine-like complex that amazed everyone who studied it. The complex is made up of 8 interconnected rooms that had been completely sealed for nearly 3 millennia. Through advanced imaging, archaeologists saw that everything inside was preserved as though time had stopped. Altars bore faint traces of oils and incense, still carrying the silent memory of rituals performed thousands of years ago. Stone basins and wine presses remained in place, as if waiting for worshippers to return. Standing stones, symbols of divine presence, still rose from the floors, resisting centuries of reform and destruction. What made the discovery even more powerful was the mix of sacred and everyday items. Alongside ritual tools, scientists found cooking pots, loom weights, and carved scarabs of Egyptian origin. These objects revealed that the shrine was not just a religious space but also a place where ordinary life and faith were deeply connected. Women likely took part in weaving ceremonial garments using the loom weights, while scarabs showed cultural exchange with Egypt. The cooking pots suggested that food played a role in rituals, linking daily survival with spiritual devotion. For archaeologists, stepping into this shrine through technology felt like stepping into a living history museum, an untouched world where ancient life still whispered through the artifacts. For centuries, historians believed that King Hezekiah of Judah had reformed religion by centralizing worship at the temple in Jerusalem. This meant that smaller shrines and local altars were destroyed to ensure that everyone worshipped in one place. Under the temple's authority, biblical texts support this view, and scholars assumed it was accurate. But the discovery of this hidden shrine tells a different story. These underground chambers suggest that secret worship continued even after reforms were made. The carefully arranged altars, stones, and objects point to a parallel religious life that existed outside the official temple system. This challenges long-held assumptions about the religious life of ancient Jerusalem. It shows that ordinary people found ways to continue their traditions even when leaders tried to control them. The shrine also revealed that women had important roles in religious practices, creating ceremonial textiles and preparing items for rituals. Egyptian scarabs highlighted the cultural connections Jerusalem had with neighboring regions. These finds suggest that Jerusalem was not isolated but part of a wider network of cultural and spiritual exchange. This challenges the idea of a single, uniform religious system and instead paints a picture of a city where faith was diverse, layered, and deeply personal. Among all the discoveries, one object stood out more than any other: a standing stone that had survived centuries of change. During King Hezekiah's reforms, such stones were usually destroyed because they represented local, personal devotion rather than centralized worship. Yet this one stone remained untouched. Its survival tells us something important. It suggests that not all reforms were absolute. Some sacred traditions were so deeply rooted in people's lives that they could not be erased, even by powerful kings. This stone became a symbol of resistance and resilience. It stood as a reminder that while leaders might try to control how people worshipped, faith often continued in secret, beyond their reach. For historians, this stone forces a reconsideration of what really happened in Jerusalem's religious history. Instead of seeing Hezekiah's reforms as total and final, we now see them as partial, where official worship was promoted, but hidden practices still survived. This discovery paints a more complex picture of ancient society, one where faith and authority were constantly negotiating, sometimes clashing, but always coexisting in different ways. The standing stone is more than just a rock. It is a witness to centuries of devotion, secrecy, and survival. The Temple Mount is not just an archaeological site, it is one of the most sensitive and politically charged locations on Earth. Every discovery beneath it has the power to spark debates, conflicts, or new understandings. When researchers revealed the existence of these hidden chambers, the news spread quickly through religious, academic, and political communities. For Jewish scholars, it raised questions about long-held beliefs regarding temple centralization. For Muslim authorities, it raised concerns about custodianship and the sanctity of the holy site, especially since the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque stand above these chambers. For Christians, the discovery opened new ways of understanding the religious life of Jerusalem during the time of Jesus. Beyond religion, political leaders also took notice. The Temple Mount has long been a flashpoint in Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and any new archaeological find can influence claims over history and territory. Questions quickly emerged. Who should study these chambers? Who has the right to interpret the findings? And how will this affect the delicate balance of power in the region? The discovery reminds us that archaeology is never just about the past. It is also about the present, shaping identity, memory, and politics in ways that reach far beyond ancient stones. This hidden shrine beneath the Temple Mount has forced historians to rethink what they believed about ancient Jerusalem. It shows that religious life was not just about the grand temple above, but also about private, secret devotion carried out by ordinary people. The artifacts, loom weights, scarabs, cooking pots, altars show how daily life and spiritual life were deeply connected. They also revealed that Jerusalem was part of a broader cultural network, influenced by and influencing neighboring regions. This discovery challenges simple narratives of religious centralization and instead shows us a complex, layered society where faith was lived at both official and personal levels. It proves that history is not fixed. It can be rewritten when new evidence emerges. And beneath the Temple Mount, we may have only scratched the surface. More hidden chambers may exist, waiting to reveal even deeper secrets about human devotion, resilience, and survival. When archaeologists first entered the secret chambers under the Temple Mount, one of the most striking things they found was how personal the space felt. The main temple above was built for large gatherings, led by priests, and organized around rituals that everyone in the community would recognize. By contrast, these underground spaces were small, private, and quiet. The artifacts revealed that people came here not as part of a massive crowd, but perhaps as individuals or small groups. Oil lamps with burn marks suggested intimate gatherings. Incense traces showed that prayers were offered here in a setting away from official ceremonies. Such details give us a rare look at the hidden life of ordinary worshippers who may have sought comfort or guidance in secret. Instead of waiting for a priest to mediate between themselves and God, they created their own sacred moments. For modern historians, this opens new doors of understanding. It shows that ancient faith was not only about big public rituals but also about personal devotion, closer to the kind of prayer and reflection we know today. Conflict between public and private faith. The existence of these chambers also raises questions about power and control. In most religious systems, leaders try to regulate how worship is done. They set rules about who can perform rituals, what prayers should be spoken, and how offerings should be made. This ensures unity but also strengthens the authority of those leaders. The hidden shrine beneath the Temple Mount challenges this structure. If people were gathering in secret to pray and offer sacrifices, it meant they were bypassing the official system. For the rulers of that time, such behavior could look like rebellion. Even if the worship was sincere and harmless, it still represented independence from the priestly order. That is why discoveries like this can be politically sensitive. They remind us that religion is not only about belief, but also about who gets to define belief. In the ancient world, just as today, there was tension between personal spirituality and institutional authority. The chambers below the Temple Mount make that struggle visible in a way we rarely see in archaeology. The risk of the most fascinating aspects of this discovery is the mystery of why the chambers were sealed. Archaeologists found no sign of violent destruction, such as collapsed walls or fire damage. Instead, the entrances appeared to have been deliberately closed off. This suggests that someone in power wanted these rooms hidden. Perhaps the priests of the temple saw them as a threat. If ordinary people preferred to worship in these underground sanctuaries, it might weaken the influence of the temple leadership. By sealing the chambers, the authorities could erase evidence of this independent practice and enforce the official way of worship. Yet, ironically, this very act of suppression helped preserve the site. Because the rooms were sealed, the artifacts inside remained protected from centuries of looting and decay. In this way, the attempt to silence one form of worship has allowed us, thousands of years later, to witness it more clearly than ever. The rediscovery of these hidden chambers would not have been possible without modern technology. Over the years, many archaeologists suspected that there could be tunnels or secret rooms beneath the Temple Mount. But digging in such a sacred and politically sensitive site was nearly impossible. Ground-penetrating radar and other non-invasive scanning tools changed the game. They allowed experts to see beneath the surface without damaging the structures above. These tools created detailed maps that revealed voids, suggesting hollow spaces hidden deep below. Once the scans confirmed the existence of these voids, archaeologists carefully investigated, eventually reaching the sealed chambers. This marriage of technology and tradition is a reminder of how human curiosity continues to drive discovery. Ancient builders may have worked in secrecy to create the chambers, but modern scientists used equally clever tools to bring them back into the light. One remarkable aspect of the Temple Mount is how it carries meaning for multiple faiths. For Jews, it is the site of the first and second temples, central to their history. For Muslims, it is the Haram al-Sharif, home to the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, both deeply revered. For Christians, it holds importance as part of the story of Jesus' life and teachings. Because of this overlapping significance, any discovery made there resonates across cultures. The hidden chambers may have begun as a local space for private devotion, but today, they speak to billions of people worldwide. They serve as a reminder that beneath our differences, humans across time have shared similar desires to connect with the divine, to find comfort, and to create meaning in their lives. This sense of shared heritage is both beautiful and challenging. It shows how deeply connected we are, but also why this site has been the focus of conflict for so long. Since the news of the discovery spread, reactions have varied widely. Some religious groups have welcomed it as proof of the depth of their tradition, celebrating the evidence of faith that existed outside official structures. Others have been more cautious, worried about what the discovery means for long-held narratives. Historians see it as an opportunity to study the complexity of ancient religion with fresh eyes. Politicians, however, are more concerned with what it means for the modern disputes surrounding the Temple Mount. Each new finding can shift public opinion, spark debates, or even inflame tensions. For the global audience following these developments, the story is more than just about archaeology. It touches on identity, heritage, and the ongoing struggle over one of the world's most contested pieces of